Howdy, wildcards! We are here for the final 57 minutes of the Savage Worlds Science Fiction Companion campaign on Kickstarter. We're all branded out, looking good, Jody. This is an amazing campaign. I mean, we just have to start with a big, huge thank you. There will be 3,200 plus backers for this campaign before it's done. That is an amazing number. I think someone commented it's one of the top Kickstarter campaigns for PEG in its history. I think probably behind Suede and Pathfinder. But Deadlands. That's right. Or Deadlands, yes.
The biggest. Yeah.
But for just a little companion book, it's not so little anymore. It is 300 plus pages. But I mean, without all the extra, there's no huge box, there's no miniatures, but there's a whole lot of goodness. So thank you all for showing up in such numbers. We are over 300K. But I mean, we love seeing that backer number. So let me start there. So before we show you the campaign page, I want to brag about some of the amazing kind of numbers of this campaign. So the 81 first time Kickstarter backer. So never backed a Kickstarter in your life, and you picked us for your first one. Thank you. Welcome to Kickstarter. Welcome to Savage Worlds of Pinnacle Entertainment. Lovely to have you as part of the family. 635 of you new to PEG. So we love growing our wildcard audience. That is a fantastic number. Thanks. And then really, we owe that to all of the friends out there sharing your experiences with Savage Worlds, the games you like to play, you running games at your local game store, going to conventions. That's how we get that number. That's not something that we can generate. That's generated from our community. So thank you so much. This is a number we can be proud of. There are 3 of you, and I think probably in the chat now, who have backed all 34 Pinnacle Kickstarter campaigns. That's crazy. Thank you so much for you guys and gals. Pretty amazing. And then the big number, 2,559 of the 3,200. We just got 3,200. Thank you for making me not a liar. My job was on the line if I didn't cross that number. But of the 3,200, 2,559 of you are returning backers. That really means a lot to us. It really says that we are doing what you guys love, and so we appreciate you on that. So those are the numbers. Those are the real numbers to brag about. Everything else is really, really gravy. But I will, because we can, throw up the campaign page. There are 55 minutes left. We've got those 3,200 backers. And just because we can, if you have not backed the campaign yet, in the chat, in the comments on all of the things. So just for Bankel, who wonders, where's the link? Here you go, amigo. Here is the link on all the different Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube. There's the link to back the campaign. Right now, there's 54 minutes left, and we appreciate you guys sharing that, backing now. There are some really good opportunities. I mean, let me switch so you can't see me and you can see Jody. There we go. There are some really good opportunities on this campaign. The campaigns are where we can really save you on shipping, and shipping is always a challenge, especially because of inflation and global shipping crises that we have nothing to do with. It's not our fault. But we do our best, and doing Kickstarters is one of the ways that we can open up some options that we really can't do otherwise. So we really appreciate you guys and gals. Thank you. There was some really great comments there. Right. Oh, Jeff's watching the Dune, the new one, or the 80s one, because the 80s one's fantastic. The new one's pretty good too. It's okay. It's fine. Zendaya's good.
Always been a multitasker, though. I mean, He's always had like 15 tabs open.
He is the Quizat Satarak of watching multiple tabs. Alan, thank you, sir. 372 going to Europe, which is amazing. We appreciate all you backers. And Alan, we have to say thank you to you, buddy. He is helping us make shipping to you in the UK and the EU cheaper and easier. So he's one of our partners over there, which is not only representing us at some of the conventions in the UK, but also helping us get the products there. And then one big announcement for everybody on the other English-speaking but far, far away Oz, under the world. Half the time New Zealand gets left off maps entirely. For Australia, New Zealand, we have a huge palette for all of our recent campaigns headed your way very soon. So there will be Legend of Ghost Mountain goodness on there. There will be Pine Box Middle School horror companion goodness, and I think one other campaign. So all of that's headed your way. And then once that is left our warehouse and hit the boat, we can say that shipping is completed for a bunch of our campaigns recently.
The other one you're missing is the Rifts campaign. We can't forget Rifts. Like
Terror
that
on the Dark
was
Front.
other big Kickstarters
So
here on Kickstarter. So yeah, I can't wait to get you guys your stuff.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, if there's a Stompy robot accessible product that we sell, it is Pawn Box 2 for Rifts, and then the Savage in the Terror in the Dark Frontier box set. The only way to get it, there's the Skull Walker pawn. It is so good. We had it on the table for Gamma, and it 4 or 5 times people conveniently were holding it while they turned their back to walk away. We're like, no, you cannot take it until the last day. But yeah, that one's super hot. So
that thing was an engineering challenge on multiple levels to make it work.
Well, and that's the other thing about Kickstarters, right? Crowdfunders in general for us allow us to do those things for you as fans. Like, we can experiment with those. We can figure out, we can look at the numbers, how many people are ordering, can we get the deals on the minimum order quantities, all those things. So crowdfunding really does help us make better products for all of you. So we appreciate it. So with that, I think we'll turn to Shane for our first big question, sir. Shane, what's the one thing about the Science Fiction Companion that you're most excited for fans to get their hands on?
It's probably the same thing I said last night. It's the heavy metal rules. It lets you very easily pit giant walkers, spaceships, hover tanks, APCs, all that stuff against each other without having to do all the math for armor piercing, high armor values, and all that. It's just class of the weapon, class of the target. Roll a d4 usually to see how many wounds you do if you're on par. Otherwise, it's a little bit different. Very quick and simple, very easy. Plays really fast. It's really nice.
Good answer. So, Daryl, and I'll get to Jody is saving the best for last. Daryl, what is the one thing about either the book that you worked on or that just someone else worked on the campaign that you're excited for fans to kind of find in the Science Fiction Companion?
I think all of the new options that we've got for modifications for all of the different vehicle types, how they mix together, how you can swap them around. Just, oh man, there's just so many intricate things, and that's kind of why it takes so long to develop and test this stuff. It's like, oh man, there are hundreds of moving parts that all need to interact with one another. And, we're all terrified we're going to miss that one part, and it's going to go out and be like, oh, there's the one that we missed, and someone will find it and we'll fix it, and that'll be just fine. But
it's been great too having Sean Robertson worked on it, Mike Barbeau, Daryl, Tracy Sizemore, me, Simon, Lucas. Clint, of course, from the original. Hasn't had much to do on this one yet. He's kind of our final cleanup guy. He'll go through and make sure all of our craziness is in line. But one of the great things about having so many people involved, not to mention the feedback we'll get on the forums, is a lot of us have different takes on things, right? Like Daryl's heavily into Mass Effect, so we get a lot of input from that.
a little bit.
I'm more of an old school guy, Aliens and Outland and that kind of thing, and I want those vibes in 40K. I don't Warhammer nut. Those tropes play heavily on my mind when they're doing these things. Not to mention Star Trek and Star Wars, but everybody's into those to some degree. Right, so it's really great to have those different perspectives, and then make sure that the book can accommodate them. In fact, one of the most fun early Savage Worlds games I ran before we even got to the $10 Explorers Edition was at, I think it was KublaCon in the Bay Area when I was working on City of Heroes. But I had a bunch of Imperial Guard for 40K that I just picked up really cheap. So I gave everybody, one little Imperial Guard guy, and they had to take out like 3 Space Marines. That's all it was. It was this big battlefield. They had to fight their way through, do some obstacles and stuff. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. And it was just perfect for that. And playing like a lowly Imperial Guardsman against some Chaos Space Marines, pretty scary stuff.
Avoid the Space Marines. They're dangerous. Well, that's the thing. So I'm going to get there. We're going to talk about the adventures and kind of how those cover a bunch of different things next. So prepare, Daryl and Shane. But Jody, for you, Jody, what is the number one thing that you're most excited about the book, or number one thing you're excited for fans to get their hands on?
Not having to do with Game Changer.
I just can't wait for everybody to have all of the companions on their shelf, right? Because it feels like there's been that like gap-toothed smile, like your kid just like lost their tooth and they don't have that one brought in yet. So it's like they can finally have the full smile. They can finally have all, yes, exactly. So that you can have the full set like right there on the shelf and all of the options. Because when you're trying to like say, okay, I need to pull this from this book or that from that book, and you can do anything you want with the core rules, right? We're all going to agree on that. But sometimes you want to flesh something out a little bit here and a little bit there.
Right.
I just want the complete set. And I think a lot of our friends do. So that's what I'm most looking forward to, is just having access to it all. I want it all. That's all I ask for is everything.
And you want that insight, like, well, how would Pinnacle do this, right? Like, I might not do it the same way, but what's the baseline? Like, and working up from that, because not everyone's a game designer, like they want the stuff there. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to do.
Are you kidding? Everybody's a game designer.
Everybody has an opinion. Yeah.
Yes.
Skyline asked if this was our biggest. I think this is our fourth largest. So Deadlands was largest. I think Suede was second largest. Pathfinder, and then Rifts. Does that sound right?
And then, for page count, like what do you? I don't have the books handy. Like for page count, Shane, what are the page counts of the other like actual companions?
This is definitely the largest since in the Suede era. So it's 300 and some pages.
Yeah.
Fantasy was what, 272. Yeah. So we're even bigger than fantasy.
So we've actually passed the funding goal. Past the money that we raised for Suede. So only 3 campaigns have raised more than this, if that's what you're looking for. But I like page count better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, folks, for coming out of the woodwork for some sci-fi. I always tell Shane, it's like, we're a horror adventure company, right? I mean, that's kind of our shtick. Apparently, we're a sci-fi company now, at least for the next couple of months.
Horror and sci-fi go really well together.
They do. And one of the things that I like about this Sci-Fi Companion is in the previous one, we leaned away from the supernatural. We have both flavors in this one, right? So it's got the cool, you can do like Dead Space or, 40K Necrons, those kind of things with this, as well as, like I mentioned before, Outlander, Aliens, or The Expanse, stuff that's far more grounded. So super cool.
Well, and even Expanse, while it's grounded, has elements, alien stuff comes up. This is where that supernatural horror element fits in, even on a gritty campaign.
Right. Horror, adventure, sci-fi. That's good. We'll keep it. We do say anytime, any place. So now it's anytime, any place, any genre, any space. So one of the big challenges I think of sci-fi in general is there are just a lot of ways of doing sci-fi, right? There's spaceships are very different across, whether it's Star Trek or Star Wars or Expanse or Dune, and some shows they lean into hard sci-fi and very technical. Others are mystical, magical, and finger wavy, like a certain phone booth that's painted blue and is bigger on the inside. So for Daryl and Shane, how does the Sci-Fi Companion attempt to, take that broad spectrum and kind of cover the different bases that people might be expecting?
Shane and I had knife fights, so you all don't have to.
Vibro knife fight.
Right, but then that's what he was saying. There's so many the different people and perspectives that come into it. Is kind of everyone got their crack, that their perception of science fiction. And then they all have to meet in the middle and make room for one another and have those options, those sidebars. They're like, by the way, this other way is valid. Here's, if you need to capture this essence, do this, because sci-fi is huge, right? There's a lot of ways to do everything.
Yeah. And setting rules play a very large part in that, right? I mean, we have the standard genre section where we talk about mimicking those different tropes. Brian Reeves wrote all the ones before he did this one as well. And, you can do everything from Flash Gordon to Alien, and the take on it, the feel of it. A lot of it is the setting rule, and of course, a lot of it is the trapping and how you frame it, right? Was watching something not too long ago, and I can't remember what it was now, but somebody had a cell phone, and it just popped up as a little hologram, off their hand, right? And that's not something we need to make rules for. It's just a cell phone, but it's how you describe it that really makes the setting feel like, oh, I'm in the future, right? I remember Daryl was running a Torg adventure for us at one point that was the cyber papacy, and it was so cool because I'd never thought of this. Daryl's incredibly creative. For those who don't know him, instead of the cyber popes dictates going out by Twitter, they literally went out by Twitter. They were little flying holographic birds that screamed and told you what you were going to do for the cyber pope, right? And that little detail added so much to that game and that setting that I felt like it just came alive. It was a take on it I had never seen before. It was really good. Good job, Daryl.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, so Daryl, I'll start with you, but I think one of the ways that besides the expansive number of pages of the book and like the kind of table of contents, which is very, very cool to look at. We'll show you guys that soon. But Daryl, you're actually writing one of the adventures that's coming with this. So what were the inspirations for your adventure? Tell us a little bit about Chariots of Darkness and Light.
Yeah, right. And part of where this came from is because as we're tackling science fiction, we're like, how do we show people just what this can cover, right? Like, because the original is like, it was kind of like, hey, this is the last Parsec book in a lot of ways. Whereas this one, it's like, well, it's a lot more. Like, how do we, in a tactile way, let people feel it? No, this is a lot of different flavors. So we're like, well, let's take a look at some of those flavors that the book's going to cover, and we'll just do an adventure, like a tech demo, essentially, for each one. And that kind of snowballed until it became like a book. We're like, wow, we've actually got enough of these, and they're good enough. Let's just put them out there, right? And all of the pillars that you would expect. We needed a Star Wars one. We needed an Aliens one. We needed something kind of cyberpunk. We needed, and Star Trek is one of them. Reaching out to different people, and I was a little surprised that no one claimed the Star Trek one, so I did. And so that's Chariots of Darkness and Light, and it's the that you got to go to a strange new world, right? A planet out in the middle of nowhere. It's not orbiting a sun or whatever, and it's got pyramids and it's got gods. And my in-joke in it is that this would be one of those episodes that they filmed stealing the sets and costumes from something else to save on budget. So it's like, the world is more like a fantasy world, and it's like, oh yeah, it's dudes in armors and gladiator suits and whatever. And you're like, what is happening here? It's to save the budget, but also it works within the story. Like, it makes sense within that. And go in, not violate your prime directives, solve their problem without blowing their poor little planet up. And it's not easy.
Nice. Yeah, no, so the other folks who are working on some of these things can't be here, so I'm gonna brag for them because they're not here. I'll get to mine last because it's fun. But the Brian Reeves, again, so he's been putting out a lot of great stuff. He's for our Deadlands series.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some really good Deadlands news to talk about near the end of the stream because there's a lot coming for you for Deadlands. So he's doing one called Going Viral, and the inspirations are Blade Runner, Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, and it was supposed to be a simple job, but that was before one of your own became the newest victim of the crazer trend. Anyways, really good stuff from Brian is coming out on that one. John Stevens, who you might know is one of the architects of our BTT platforms. He's also really into
all of his work on Rifts.
Right? I mean, lots of stuff on Savage Rifts, right? And that there's a blending there of there's a lot of sci-fi and Rifts, so that's a really good crossover. His is called the Queen's Gambit, and his inspirations are, as you'd know, work on Rifts, but also Star Wars is kind of his leading one. And a daring crew of noble do-gooders have one chance to cripple the corrupt Star Syndicate. So that is one of the adventures. And someone in the chat, I think that's a good question. I think I started to, Venko said, so are the Savage Tales one sheets? They definitely are more than one sheets. They are less than plot point campaigns. That's the right kind of range for these. And I'd say not as much micro settings as they are interesting flavorfuls of like it's as many of the Sci-Fi Companion rules as we can demonstrate. So some will have the big space battles, others will be
also
doing
homages, right? We
Yeah.
wanted to show you how you can do Blade Runner, Star Wars, Star Trek, Aliens, and Dune with our game, right? So we're not ripping them off. There are the original takes, but they are definitely in the vein of these 5 different tropes, so that you can see how to do them. If you want to do those things, you'll have a good look at how we did it.
Right.
At least.
Yeah, you think about 16 pages each.
Yeah.
A chapter. Some of that describes like, hey, here is the setup that you're walking into, because it's not a direct, take. It's like, well, here's how our starship functions and the rules that you need to follow, or in the Queen's Gambit. It's like, this is, yes, there is a criminal organization, but maybe they're not giant slugs running it.
Right.
Here's what you need to know, right? And they're all the elements that you'll be able to like incorporate in your own stuff, going, I know what they're on about here. And like anything that size, you could, if you're hustling, you could probably do it in a single night adventure, but it might be 2 or 3 if you take the side avenues and let everything breathe and all of that.
Yeah.
And there's 6 of them. So that overall, that makes it a little bit less than a plot point campaign, but for pretty
that's a good point, Daryl. The Thunder on the Mountain adventure that we just published last week for Savage Saturday Cinema, I have run that in a way that could easily be stretched out to 3 sessions, depending on how much intrigue and character background stuff you want to work in. I've also run it in 2 hours at conventions, right? By just kind of pushing things along and not really letting them go into too many side quests. But it is, I think these will fall into that category as well. You can do it pretty quick if you want to, or you can savor them, which I would recommend, because you're paying for them.
Yeah, so
well, are you though? Because you're getting them for free with this campaign. Bonus.
You're buying.
Right.
Something that my friends like to do with campaigns, I think, or not campaigns, but games of that sort of magnitude, is because it's not a one shot, right? You could be, but then you're kind of losing out some of the juicy bits of the game. Is like go away for the weekend with your gamer friends and like rent a cabin or something and just game for the weekend. So you've got like a Friday night game, 2 times on Saturday, maybe Sundays, just pack up and leave. Like 3 sessions and you're done, and just have a great time really getting into your character, fleshing it out. I've got lots of angst for my characters because that's what I like to do. Yeah. So
that's just from all the critical misses, right?
Yes.
Although it's pretty embarrassing if you die in the first 2 hours.
That doesn't mean it's the end, not in one of our games.
Fair enough.
So I want to take this opportunity, like, let's talk about what Savage Saturday Cinema is, because it might be a new concept for a bunch of folks out there. But the Savage Saturday Cinema, we've got 2 of them already available. And I got a little video rolling in the background on the other tab. But they're longer than one shots. They're kind of multiple page adventures. I think 16 pages is kind of about the same for the Savage Cinema. And the first one we have is called Final Rest Stop, and that one was a
subtitled "Get Killed" by John Goff.
Yes, I mean,
it's a John Goff adventure, though. They're all going to kill you.
Right, you're going to die. But I mean, who doesn't want some more John Goff goodness, right? And then the second one, which Shane just mentioned, which is also currently available on Peg Inc., and you can go to the link down below to grab both of those, is Thunder on the Mountain. So, Shane, tell us what is in Thunder on the Mountain. It says it's a Deadlands themed adventure. So, what's going on in this Savage Saturday Cinema offering?
So Thunder on the Mountain was written for our 25th Deadlands anniversary that Chris put together in Deadwood, South Dakota. We went there with how many people, Chris, about?
Between like 100 and 200, I think. I mean, it was like we had very active gamers, and they brought their families too. So it was a lot more people than just made the tables.
Right. It was fantastic. It was my first time in Deadwood. Had a fantastic time. Really hope we get to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Just loved it. But anyway, it takes place in Deadwood, so you can walk around to the places that you're visiting in the adventure. And I wrote it as not only as a treat for the 25th anniversary, but as somewhat of an homage to the Deadwood show. So I challenged myself to work in all the main characters and do their voices through the game. I did keep it PG-13, which was a challenge for some of the characters. But
yeah, you can't spell swearingen without swear, right?
right. And Al Swearingen actually was one of the easier ones for me. Charlie Utter was pretty easy. Calamity Jane was pretty easy. Doc, what's his name? The Doc.
Cochran.
Yeah, Doc Cochran was pretty easy. The one I really have trouble with is Seth Bullock, Timothy Oliphant. That's a tough one. You know, he's just about 10 levels of sexiness above me, so I didn't quite pull it off. Somebody told me though that what I needed to do is look like I was barely controlling my rage constantly, and I'd nail it.
That's pretty good. That's true. Yes, a pot about to a kettle about to boil over is pretty much how that character.
Yeah, that's great.
Worked out.
That's good.
So Shane, what are the concepts of Savage Saturday Cinema? Like they're unique. They're not one shots. They're not plot point campaigns. But what's our pitch to customers on like why they might want to pick these up? Where they fit in our gaming.
So anytime, any place, right? Means that we can do anything with our game engine, and we've shown that you can play irradiated Twinkies in Andy Hop's Low Life. You can play kaiju in our Rise of the Kaiju supplement. So you can do anything in our game. That said, we are still a small company with just a small number of people. We're not as big as Hasbro, nor do we have that many people, playing our games. So we have to focus our big prep products on Deadlands, Savage, Pathfinder, Rifts, and a few one-off settings here. No, not really one-off, but smaller settings here and there that we'll support slowly. But we still will support them, like Holler, right? We love Holler. We have a book in the works for it that will expand some of the aspects of it. That is coming, but we can't do it as a full line, quite like Deadlands or something. But we still want to play in all these different areas that we have ideas for: horror adventures and giant stompy robot adventures and fantasy adventures and whatever else. So Savage Saturday Cinema lets us do that. It also gives you, the game master, a cool thing that you can do on an average Saturday night when you want to play a quick one-shot kind of game, or take that and run, as Jody mentioned before, run into something longer. So it is a way for us to show off the anytime, any place. It's a way for us to exercise our creative demons and say, man, I've just got this cool idea for a Warhammer-esque adventure, and I've got to get it out of my mind and publish it, right? So it lets us do that. And it puts it into one easy to follow line, Savage Saturday Cinema, that where to look and find on our website.
Yeah, no, perfect explanation. And there's just we the fact that we want to support all the things all the time, right? It's campaigns where there's a hardcover book involved or a box set. Those need to be spaced out. The value is there, but their price points are higher, and these are a way for us to let you experience all of the breadth of Savage Worlds, and with a little less commitment on our end, and and on your end too. Like they're meant to be picked up without having to have deep setting knowledge. So even though this is a Deadlands adventure, you don't have to have read all the Deadlands material to run it.
Yeah, and in some cases, move that setting forward between major releases.
Right, exactly.
So we can keep telling that story.
Right. It's also a great place for us to test things sometimes. Like if we're working on something for a bigger book or a setting down the road, we can put little aspects into this and see what the feedback is. For example, we've been promising the martial arts companion forever. We did test some of that with Daryl's Legend of Ghost Mountain. And Ghost Mountain is another great example of a setting that takes a while to make, right? Look at this sucker. This is huge. This weighs about
7.5 pounds because I weighed it today.
Okay, I mean it's heavy, right? And it's just a fantastic game. Daryl did an amazing job with it. I can't figure out camera physics, can I? Look at all that stuff in there. It's awesome. But let me tell you, this game was imagined when Kung Fu Panda first came out. So Kung Fu Panda 4 is in theaters. They've had 4 movies and a TV show since then, and that's how long it took me to get around to it because, again, we're small. We have these other things we have to support. We have our own, we have Deadlands we have to support, right? And we have to. We love Deadlands. But Deadlands is tricky too. Just to go off on a quick tangent, getting people to write for Deadlands is hard because there's so much to know, right? It's like knowing all the lore for Rifts or Pathfinder. You know, these are deep, long-lived intellectual properties that just require not just have you read the books and know, you know, like when Wild Bill got killed in our world and what happened afterwards, but what's the tone we're after? What are the themes and the lessons, you know, that we want portrayed in the adventures? And can you write, and can you organize, and can you get the stats right? You know, finding people to work on these things is difficult, which is why, you know, we're crazy fortunate to have the ones that we do. People like Brian Reeves, like Matt Cutter in the past. John Goff, of course, has been there since the beginning of Deadlands. Daryl, Clint, Jody, Chris is now writing for us too. Don Shepard's done some stuff. You know, it's just great to see that come to life. But I mean, these are deep lores that take a lot of knowledge, and that's why sometimes it's nice to segue back into Savage Saturday Cinema. Sometimes it's nice to do these nice little small projects. We can also test out new authors and see how all that is, you know, minus their lore knowledge, see if they're good writers. Can they handle the pressures of writing under a deadline sometimes? Can they tell a long story short, which is important for like one sheets or even, you know, minimal PDFs? So I probably answered that question in way more detail than you wanted.
No. That's all gold marketing material. I'm going to take that video, chop it up. We're going to make videos of it. But I mean, I think that the nice thing about it is it's a very good price point for like the one that we just did, the Thunder of the Mountain. It's 25 pages of material. So you've got pre-gen characters in it. There's evocative art to get you and your players in the mood. There's enough story, like Jody said. You know, if you're having an all-day play session, you can really get through it. But if you want to break it up, there's more to explore there. And if you want to, you know, test the waters, like if your group is coming from Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, and you're like, hey, I really love Benny's Exploding Dice card initiative. What else you got for me? You know, if you want to tiptoe your group into, hey, we've got Deadlands, you know, running one of these 26-page adventures is a great way of doing that. Or, hey, what's some modern horror cell phone pulpy thing? Oh, great, you know, get Final Rest Stop, because you know, if you can't find a certain John Goff at a convention near you to kill your characters, you can get this adventure, and your characters can die too. But I think that's kind of a good segue, because I know John is going to join. John and Teller, I think, are going to join me and JM DeFogie and a couple other people like the Birchers and Ronnie. We're going to be at ChupacabraCon, which is one of our upcoming appearances. People always ask, where can we come play with you folks? Jody is our most traveled convention attendee. Where are we at this year besides ChupacabraCon?
ChupacabraCon. That's in May, and unfortunately, Clint and I are not going to be able to attend that one because I've got a family engagement. But there's going to be a ton of Savage Worlds players and Pinnacle staff people there. We always love that convention. Please get to it if you are anywhere near. Is it Austin, Texas?
Yes,
San Marcos.
Yeah.
Between Austin and
it's Texas.
Yeah,
somewhere in Texas. Anyways,
yeah. Tracy and I were there.
About 18 hours.
Yeah. Tracy and I were there last year, and we love it too. But
and by the way, Clint and I love driving in Texas because it's so flat, and you can just drive like really, really fast and flat. Anyways,
what Texas are you driving?
So anyways, other than that, we've also got, after that in June, there's Origins. So there will be people there for Origins. Studio 2 will have a booth, so you'll be able to pick up all of these products. So if you're missing anything, come check out their booth there. Then there's going to be Gen Con in August, and we hope to have a lot of Pinnacle staffers there this year, probably more than we've ever had. So I know that the Gen Con lottery is a thing. It's really hard to get to, but if you can join us,
not even close, Jody. In the 90s, we used to take 30 plus people.
Okay, I'm going to say in recent years.
It's Savage Worlds for sure.
I don't know 30 people.
How about since
6
COVID.
rooms, 30 people.
Since COVID. Then in
it'll smell better this time.
Yeah. In October, we have Gamehole Con up in Madison, Wisconsin. I hope you can join us for that. I did not get to go last October because I was getting these fixed. So now I can see color again, and that's exciting for me. But I get to go this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then we wrap up the year in December with PAX Unplugged. So again, Studio 2 will have a booth there. You can come find us there. And I think we're trying to hit like a lot of different places. Oh, and there are places that Pinnacle staff people go to like on their own, like in their own little necks of the woods. So keep an eye on our newsletter and you'll never know when we'll pop up next to you. It's almost like
Brian was just at Game Storm.
Yeah.
Oregon, right? Portland. Yeah.
Yeah. And Scott Woodard's holding it down for us out in California. So
CubaCon, yeah. And Pacificon, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orca
There's good
Con?
stuff. Right. Oh, and hey, Rob is going to join us at Gen Con. He'll be running Savage Worlds there too. So
Thank you, Rob.
I think Carl Kiesler was it Tactic? It was Genghis Con.
Genghis.
Carol and Tracy were at Genghis Con.
Yep.
And ran quite a few games there. And if you can ever get into a Carl game,
Do it.
If you can pick between me or Carl, choose Carl.
Seriously. No, seriously. Yeah. Skip Shane, go to Carl.
It's funny. So I a couple of years back, I was planning on running like a private staff game for a bunch of PEG friends, and Shane was going to be in it, and Carl was going to be in it, and then like I had to cancel. And I just found I should say I didn't just find, my dog found, because I got a puppy and she's a year old, and she decided she likes chewing on boxes, but this was Carl's special character. Was going to play Bob Ross, and Shane's model was going to be a certain chainsaw armed. Vigilante that if you know Shay, you know who that was. But also Alan mentions that the UK Games Expo, which is going to be a big Savage Worlds presence. And so if you are in the area for UK Games Expo and you haven't grabbed a lot of the newer stuff from us, a lot of our books are going to be for sale at the UK Games Expo. And you should just find Alan. He will show you all the amazing things that'll be there. We have banners and everything. So
Thanks, Alan.
Right? We're making an effort, guys. We're multinational.
I need to tell Alan about when I went to Gen Con UK. So this was quite a few years ago. This was probably like 2010 or something, but it was at Butlins in Minehead. And Butlins is somewhere between a carnival in Las Vegas. That was my impression of it. Maybe yours is different. But the show was held in these big tents, like circus tents. And the ground was ground. It wasn't like a hall or anything. And it rained the entire time we were there. So it was very muddy. And there were planks going between all the different buildings and to the tables and so forth. And that's where you played. But I thought the coolest part, and I enjoyed myself. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. But the one of the coolest things was that the dormitories you could stay in there were German prisoner of war barracks from after World War II. And they had I guess, turned them into this vacation spot places you could stay. And they still had the original cots in them. And the cot in my room was bigger than the room, so you could not close the door all the
way. There was a hotel we stayed at in Italy where we were in high school, so it was the cheapest possible way to stay in Rome. And when you could open the door out, which is weird, because most hotels allow you to open the door in America as a safety feature, but that you couldn't open it in because the bed filled the entire room. So to get into the bathroom, you had to crawl on the bed to get into the doorway for the bathroom. And the bathroom was so economical, you sat on the toilet to have the shower hit you. You couldn't really stand up because it was literally like closet with a toilet in it with a shower head that was somehow on the wall that was on the room.
That's
I don't know
crazy.
how that's you don't do that in America. Like the plumbing is always on the outside wall, not the inside wall. But yeah, it was literally a bed and a toilet/shower. And if you didn't put the drape fully across the door, your bed would get wet when you were showering because it was literally right there. So yeah, Europe has some fun standards that we just wouldn't get away with in America.
I stayed with Piotr Koris, our Polish licensee, many years ago in Poland, and did a convention there. And Piotr had a wonderful little house. But one thing that I couldn't get used to, and I guess it's pretty common now, but not for me, was it's a bathtub shower with no shower curtain, right? So you just got to pick up the spigot, and I guess you aim it at the wall and shower yourself. And I wasn't qualified for that equipment, let me tell you.
Now it's good stuff. So folks, so for all of our international friends, again, Kickstarters are the best way to get our products. They allow us to send pallets out. We are always exploring ways to make international shipping a little more affordable. Do realize though that a lot of that's out of our hands. When gas prices go up, everything on shipping goes up, and there's just there's not an easier way. We would hire our Savage friends to smuggle the books back to you, but like the airline flights are expensive too, so we can't even smuggle them. Like we tried smuggling some books across the border to Canada, and that's not even easy either. That Kickstarter is the best way, but we are exploring sending pallets and working with partners, always seeing what's available. We've definitely learned some lessons with stuff like our recent board game escapades, and are we able to tell people what our next board game outing is, or should we keep that for a future stream?
Oh,
Save
I think
something, Landauer.
What's that?
Save something.
Okay, fine. We'll save it. Shh. But so you will see Doomguard again, which is good. Yeah, that's definitely not canceled. But it is. We've got some interesting ideas on how we want to make a Doomguard a more fleshed out property for all of you RPG fans before we bring that back in its board game form. So there are some exciting things for people who want to play more Savage Worlds in the Doomguard and Necessary Evil setting, because they are one and the same. So there's. I'll leave it as that. That's the only spoil there. But the let's see. So while I run through some more staff comments or from some fan comments, I think I want to show the table of contents next. But while we do that, Daryl, what's upcoming on the PEG schedule for folks? Obviously this campaign's wrapping up nicely. What do we want to talk about on the next big campaigns that we're doing?
Well, in the future, all the way in the year 2000, we know that there is more Pathfinder for Savage Worlds coming very soon. We know there is more Rifts for Savage Worlds coming very soon. And we know there is stuff coming for everyone's favorite IP, Deadlands. And there's multiple flavors of Deadlands, regular Deadlands and Lost Colony. So we're trying to wrap the story up for Lost Colony before moving on to even more interesting stories.
Oh, good stuff. So Shane, let's talk about the Deadlands stuff, because you actually got to go. I tried to get Shane to sign off on a Savage Cruise expedition that would leave from like Seattle and go to like Alaska. And Shane's like, no one wants to go to Seattle. And then a year later, you go to Seattle. So what did you go see? I had to for research. So where are we going next in Deadlands? What part of the country? What are the inspirations?
Yeah, so the next source book out for Deadlands is The Abominable Northwest, written by myself, Brian Reeves, and I think mostly Brian Reeves. I think there's a little bit in there from somebody else, but it's mostly Brian. It's really good. We've been through it a couple of times because we've been sitting on it for a while. I wrote a boxed set adventure, much like Horror at Headstone Hill, that's going to come out at the same time, that takes place all in the Seattle area. So as Clint mentioned, a year ago, I went out to Seattle and I went up into the mountains, into the Cascades, and staked out some areas that I wanted to explore in the box set and look at them with my own eyes. And I did just that. If you follow me on Facebook, a year ago, you would have seen that I might have been messing with Sasquatch. So, we've got that whole Winter Wars thing we've been doing in the Cascades since the game first came out in '96. This is going to explain where that all came. The box set is going to explain where that all came from and tie it up in grand fashion.
Oh no, that's super exciting. And then Mike can't be here, but so I'll leave it to you, Daryl. Where are we going next for Pathfinder for Savage Worlds? What kind of things are on the menu for that campaign?
More awesome options for players. I will not name the book because there's currently a debate on exactly what the title should be.
That's true.
And I'll tell you, like I said, what I would tell you is probably not what Mike would tell you. So I will just say it is an awesome book of additional player options. And we're going to have extra critters and a lot of
whole new
like
bestiary.
Yeah.
Right.
And beyond that coming one, there will be more campaigns coming.
Yeah.
So I want to poll. Bestiary or bestiary? So I contend that it's bestiary because it is a book of beasts. It is not a book of best.
But it's not a bookrary because there's books in the library. It's a library because the Latin libra is Latin.
Yeah,
the Latin for bestiary is for bestiary. So
I have lost this bet to Simon once. If you look it up officially, it is bestiary. But I can't. But it's like GIF and GIF, right? I mean, it's GIF.
See, and this is why English as a language diverged in America, because we do it right and everyone else does it wrong. And really, if we're running this as a poll, we're testing democracy, because if they vote for anything other than bestiary, democracy has failed. You know?
but I mean, it's bestiary because there might be beast in it, but there's no A in BESTI. Oh, there's an A later, but there's no A in the first part.
See, I contend that is the mistake. It should have been called, whoever did the first one, I imagine TSR, it should have been a bestiary, not a bestiary.
Should have been. But it was not. And if we want people to ever spell it correctly, it has to be a bestiary.
Yeah. Well, so Jody, here's a really good comment from Bankel. So there's a project that's not a Pinnacle project, but it is a Savage Worlds project coming. Solomon Kane is back in a big way. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, actually, I got to toss that back to Shane because he worked on it with it. But it's super exciting to us to be able to have that come out again. I know that people have been asking for that for ages, and I've had it on my shelf from the old times. That was actually one of the first books that I helped edit for Pinnacle way back in the day. So yeah, it's coming back out again. Go for it, Shane.
Yeah. So our friends at Monolith, who make the Conan board game, I can't remember the subtitle all of a sudden. They just had a recent expansion for it that covered Red Nails, for example. So Monolith did, they inherited the Solomon Kane board game and figures from Mythic after Mythic's recent troubles. And they are going to release the Solomon Kane. My understanding is, and I haven't seen the actual Kickstarter yet, I just followed it like everyone else. They're going to re-release some of the miniatures as well as our RPG book that they have completely done. It's a complete new layout with all the art from the board game that Mythic did, which is beautiful art. Our rules, they went through that. So I took the Suede rules and gave them a version specific for Solomon Kane. And then they had their translators, because they're a French company, they had their translators and editors go through it with a fine-tooth comb and fix, every single tiny thing that was wrong with it, that I had missed. And man, it is a clean, beautiful book. So I've seen the PDF of it. I haven't seen the campaign yet, so I don't know what all else will be offered. But it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be covered, sold by Monolith. It will not be sold by us, as far as I know. It'll be sold through Asmodee's chains. So whatever stores they're in, you should be able to find it. They may have wider store penetration than we do.
Well, and the exciting thing there is it's one of the few products that you can get the Savage Worlds core rule and the setting all in one book. So, we love bringing new people into the hobby, and that's another great way. Like we did that with Pathfinder, obviously. So I think Solomon Kane was run by Neil Hyde, was the very first Savage Worlds game I ever played in. So it does hold a special place in my heart, like Jody's. It's great seeing it back in print and updated. So that's really exciting. Someone else doing the heavy lifting for us, right? Like we didn't have to worry about no campaign slot. We had to wrench out of our busy schedule. And
right. And since they're a European company, that it'll be sold in America too, of course, but it'll be sold by Asmodee, as I mentioned, in Europe. So those of you who are in Europe should have a much easier time getting it from them than dealing with customs and shipping from the U.S. So that's an additional perk for it.
No, good stuff. Okay, so Jody has a special show off. The Savage Worlds 20th campaign was a great campaign. We were a little delayed. One, we had a Benny issue which hit all of our campaigns, and that one got hit. It was later in the series, so like the Benny thing got stacked up the campaigns, and that finally got cleared. We have standards on our Bennies, folks. So what happened there was the original supplier couldn't get the materials we needed to make them as heavy and chunky, and the option they gave us was thin and light. It was like, nope, these aren't Bennies. These are chips. So we had to go searching for a replacement. Took a while, but we got ones we like. But that delayed us, and then just all the backup and the stuff. So we're so happy that campaign is chugging along. We've got the campaign pledge manager is going to close at the end of May on that, and that should be around when we're ready to ship it. But right now we're kind of waiting for a shipping window to get the actual printed materials, which are finishing up printing as we speak, over to us. So the global shipping situation is a little crazy again, where you kind of have to wait your turn or try to outbid folks for containers, and that's a whole mess. But we're waiting our turn, and it'll be good. So we're pretty sure we can get that to you on time. But there's a really cool thing that we've never done. Well, we did a backpack for Rifts once, but this is even much
Messenger
cooler.
bag. Yeah, that was a
messenger
messenger bag.
Weird Wars too.
Yeah.
Weird War 1
Oh,
year.
nice. Okay, cool.
But so this is something that you can order in the Suede 20th Pledge Manager, which is, like you were saying, open till May. And this is a prototype version, so it doesn't have all of the bells and whistles of our final version. But this is the shoulder bag because I know somebody was asking, I don't know, maybe a Facebook comment or something for like a video of it. So it's a shoulder bag, and I've been using this for like over a year. It's fantastic. Because I've got 3 copies of books in here right now, but it easily holds 4. And then you've got plenty of room for like your dice and stuff in here. And then pens and pencils here. And then you can adjust the straps. And there's even like, I got to turn it around. Oh, it has like a pass-through pocket back here for your wallet so nobody can steal it, right? So this is the part that's like hugged up against your body. And then there's also like clippy things that you can always clip other things to it. So the final version is going to have what they call a skin. It's a waterproof layer that's going to go across the top, and you're going to be able to get the Suede logo comes with it, and you can add on a pack of 5 that will have the covers from our players' books. So you can have the Fantasy Dragon, you can have the Jade with the katana and the Asian inspired one. You can have all 5 of those to like swap out your cool design and kind of rep your current genre, whichever one you're playing. So this is from our friends at Equilibrium. They've been friends of mine as vendors for a long time. And it's just such a fun bag to carry. And I like having something that's very compact. I don't want to carry a humongous backpack when I'm walking around the convention. So this lets me carry everything I need and everything that I can, use to play with, your favorite books here, and, have your pages already tabbed with all the cool ribbons. And of course, we're going to have ribbons in the Sci-Fi Companion. And I've got a Fantasy Companion in here too. I didn't put a Superpowers Companion because I'm at my office and it wasn't here. They're all at home. We're using it for our home game right now, so it's really busy. And then there's 2 other pockets on the inside. And this thing goes deep. You can really stuff a lot in here. So I'm really happy with this bag, and I think that everybody else will be too once they get them. But it is kind of a bit of a stretch, right? To imagine what is this going to look like? And this is black on black. So I know that's going to be a little hard for you to figure out. But if you want to put any kind of like questions into the chat, I will try to answer them. Like, how many pens or pencils can you fit in this? I probably have added 50 at some point. How many? Yeah.
So there's like the gorgeous skin, one of the covers, one of my favorite covers. And that's the Pinnacle red and black for the final versions on what it would be. And then all the cool stuff you can put in it, like the accessories box with all those bennies, our high standard. We don't compromise on bennies. The really cool dice. Like my favorite part, I wish we had a zoom in, but I haven't gotten a picture from Simon for this yet. But let me hide the current comment. But on the dice have the 4 logos, the 4 kind of genre logos we've got on the Savage Worlds logo, one of each of those on the dice, which is really, really hot. And then the cool little player stands kind of on the right. Like, it's hard to see, but there's you can put a character name or a player name on there, and those will hold either your archetype cards, your archetype, or your action deck card for easy viewing. And they're really nice. Or they can hold your business cards when you're at a trade show. We also found that out, so they're very handy. But folks, we've only got 4 minutes left in the campaign. We're super excited that you guys you've joined us for this adventure. I do want to show off before we get to the finale. Let me let's see. Here's the current, and then this is subject to change and edits. Shane might fire me if there's anything on here that's you weren't supposed to see. But people wanted what's in the book. The book is fantastically long, but here is one of the page from the contents, and then all the rest of this from the next page of content. So you can like pause the video, go back and see if your favorite stuff's in there.
Blow it up full screen, Landauer. Blow it up full screen.
I think that's as big as it gets.
If you can.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so well, Shane hates the live scrolling, but like, bear with me. So yeah, I'll do a slow scroll on what's in the book. You can read both columns, but I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff. So, net running, logistics, things to do with conviction, all the different ways to do sci-fi, whether it's like hard sci-fi, high sci-fi, space opera, ultra tech, stompy robots, a lot of cool races that you can play, a lot of cool aliens you can like throw against your players, cyberware and enhancements. There's some really cool simplified ways of doing space combat that are much more like dramatic tasks.
And I saw a scroll by, or even a comment like asking like, oh, is the hacking stuff going to be really heavy, right? Heavier or lighter? And the comment is, whenever we're doing these, what we are designing for is fun, right? And we have to find that cross section between, does this follow the tropes? Does this convey the idea? But is it still fun? Can we play this at a table and not get buried under it? And that's one of the things that takes so much work, and why we try so hard to get it right, is so people can use it fast, furious fun.
Right. Yeah, there are saurians. They're totally like dinosaurs, which would be fun. Yes, there might be a way to play a T-Rex flying an airplane. Just saying, like the other great game RPG had that on their cover. But so, folks, I'd be remiss to say, if you haven't gotten on the Savage World 20th campaign, you can participate at the link I just put in the chat. You can late pledge. You can get advantage of all the great stuff before it ships very soon. It'll definitely be shipping before Sci-Fi ships. So if you did get on that campaign, you can.
Since Chris didn't do that, I have to give you some disclaimers. Not only is that table of contents not final, it's not formatted. It wasn't for anybody to see yet. It's probably from about, 18 versions back since it's been updated.
It's missing about 30 pages.
You're going to stick it on one of the forums or something. Just wait.
It's good.
It'll be in your hands.
Okay.
A minute to go.
Awesome. So well, let's get that on screen while we got the chance. Let's see. Share screen.
Want to see smart?
Yeah.
Countdown. Here we go.
Yeah, after the confetti, we got some more art to go from Shane, which will show off too. Nice. Oh, 39 seconds. Look at this. So, folks, I mean, this is pretty amazing. 3,200 backers is a really great number. Over 300K is really great. Keeps us all fed, and which is good. Food is good. Sci-fi is better though.
And we're just so stoked to have so many people who want to join us on this adventure. And, like we want to party with you. We want to play with you. We want to have fun with you. And this is just such an affirmation of that. Thank you.
No, it's really good. Okay, 10, 9.
The computer's talking. No, get out of there.
Your dramatic task is ending.
1. Well,
at the last second.
That's so nice.
Yep.
3220. That's a really good number.
That is.
Well, thanks for the confetti, folks. This was a very easy campaign because you all made it very easy for us as the great fans you are. Man, like record-setting, great for us, great for you guys. So Shane, you got to. So I mean, didn't want me showing off what little old marketing department me has access to. If you got newer stuff to show off, let's show off some great art. But that's one of the great things about sci-fi and about this book is that there are so many genres, and we really want to give you the tools to bring all of the different kind of genres to your table. And so we are pleased to be able to hire so many great artists that to do the good stuff and give you guys evocative stuff to work with. So, okay, Shane. Let's do this.
Okay, these are, I just got these in. These are preliminaries for some of the new chapter opener full pagers that we got. So let's see.
There we go. Oh.
Okay, so that is the chapter opener for the cyberware chapter. So that is a fully decked out, it's basically a Street Samurai from Shadowrun, right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. That's not what we called it, but that's certainly how the artist turned it in. This is that, we've been talking about mechs and big stompy robots a lot. this is to kind of show off that your vehicle can go right against them head to head, right? And I think that's beautiful. So we've got some drones here. We've got a I'd call that probably like a medium mech.
Oh, that's so good.
Looks medium to me. Yeah, a hover striker.
Yeah. I'm looking at these for the first time in detail too, so I'm taking my time here. This is for the power armor chapter. There's red and some power armor. That looks like a heavy suit to me. Yeah. Beautiful. On some weird alien world. That overhang up there looks like the old Star Trek place they used to film out in. It's got a name I can't think of it. Somewhere in California. This is the robots chapter.
Oh, cool.
So I told him for this one I wanted something peaceful, since all of our others are guys getting blown up. Something peaceful and very alien.
I think people are going to love some of the options for robots for not only building, them as gear and items, but as characters and some of the things you can do now.
Yeah. One more piece here. What is a sci-fi companion without spaceship?
Yeah. Pew pew.
Yep. Lots of pew pew going on there. So there's Red in the pilot seat, flying. Looks like she's doing a bombing run on some kind of big capital ship, leading a squadron.
Actually, that looks like the Cygnus that they're bombing.
Okay.
From the black hole. Come on.
I know the black hole. I just can't call it the Cygnus. That's it. That's what I got.
Oh, that's so good. A great question from Stuart. Stuart was watching us so diligently. He picked the wrong archetype box for his pledge. That should be very easy to swap out in the pledge manager. Comes closer another time. Yes, this will be going to a pledge manager within the campaign, and super easy to take care of. And if it's too hard to figure out, just email info@peginc.com, and they will handhold you through the whole process. We want to make sure you get exactly what you want, so we will take care of you on that. And then, that being said, the biggest question is when do I get my PDFs? So we have to wait at least 3 weeks because that's when we get our final list from Kickstarter. It takes them about that long to make sure everybody's paid correctly, and if there are any bounces or whatever, that those people can get those fixed in time, and then they close that down and give us the final list of backers. And then once we get that in our grumpy little sci-fi hands, we're able to import that into our website and give you guys access to the PDFs. So Shane has about 3 more weeks to make that table of contents look very, very beautiful, and which he will do.
And we will be adding stuff the whole time because we can't help ourselves.
Right, and then Clint gets to do the black edit, which should be fun. So the rest of us should sit back and get some popcorn and watch the argument go back and forth about how this rule is going to break the entire game and create a singularity that destroys the universe. And and then Clint usually wins
in the book.
Right. So so that's where we are on these campaigns, folks. Again, thank you so much for joining us. 3220 backers. That's a really great number. We're very excited. We've got more in store for you this year. All the big lines. Pathfinder to Savage Worlds is coming. Rifts for Savage Worlds and Deadlands are kind of the next big projects. We'll give you probably in the next couple of days. I think we'll post some follow pages so that you can be informed on when those campaigns actually launch. And but we don't want to give you exact dates yet, because we do want to make sure that the Australian and New Zealand people get their pallets, so we can officially call the other campaigns closed. And we don't want to skirt them of getting that stuff. And but other than that, for all those last campaigns, we will be announcing soon when they are officially all shipped. And if anybody out there has any, you haven't gotten your stuff for Pine Box Middle or Horror Companion yet, once we post those, this is shipped notices. Reach out to info@peginc.com if you haven't gotten yours yet, and we will make sure that we track that down and find out how to get it to you. But it's been an exciting couple of years, folks. It's been a lot of content. We're really glad that we've got the 4 main companions, and we're very excited to see what you do with them. So
And can I just add a little bit of I just want to pump up our customer service there for a minute, because we've got Sarah and Christine are the ones who are answering the emails whenever you've got a question about your order. And they are doing just a fantastic job. And there have been a ton of you who have had these orders coming through the warehouse in the past, 3 months. So there have been just a lot that they've had to deal with lately. And I mean that in the best way. There's been just such a huge volume of orders going out.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being patient and waiting on them. Sometimes it might take them a few days to get back to you. And also remember, there's a bunch of you who combined like Ghost Mountain with Horror Companion, and that's why you haven't seen it yet and that kind of thing. So that's something that we're not really going to be able to do going forward, because that's how we were able to negotiate the rates that we've got. And they might not look cheaper to you, but they are in the given economy. But we are doing the best we can for you. When we get those bulk rates, that's how we're able to do that for you. But I just want to say thank you, Christine. Thank you, Sarah. Do a great job.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say I saw a lot of love going when we came here to listen to us, and celebrate with us, and all of the support that you've shown us, and everyone, even if you're not here, that is, jumped all in on this. It's awesome. I'll do the shout back a little bit.
Oh, Hunt Cluster. Nice.
Which will be compatible with Science Fiction Companion, strangely enough.
Yeah, if you guys don't know about Han Cluster, check back on our YouTube channel, because Tracy has graciously graced our Savage Universe stream, I think 2 or 3 times, talking about that. And that's one of the very exciting Ace licensed products that she's been waiting with bated breath to get a hold of the final Science Fiction Companion so she can publish that. So sorry we made you wait, Tracy, but it's well worth it.
She's also been super helpful in informing the rules, right? Because we get to see, besides how we're going to apply it to our ideas and our settings, how an Ace licensee and a good friend like Tracy is going to apply it to her setting, right? And some of the issues that it's caused, particularly with, she's all in on robots, and that's helped us really restructure some of the foundational stuff for them. So it's been great.
Tim, last minute question. There are actually space dwarfs in the book, also space cowboys and space pirates, so that's all you need. And then for Max, our VTT team is working hard as they can, fast as they can for that. So we don't give out dates for those, because basically when it's done, we don't hold it, and it's out immediately. So
it is done by a third party too. We don't control that, so it's done by Metamorphic. We're friends with them. We work with them very closely. A lot of their people work with us, like John Stevens, for example, writes Rift stuff, but we don't control it. It is their company.
Yeah. And so everything we do will come to all the platforms. Just timelines are hard for us to say, because we need to finish the books first. So any final thoughts from Shane, our heroic leader? Anything you want to say to folks?
I don't know how heroic I am, but I'm tired. This was a huge book. It's a huge undertaking. I've been working on companions for I guess 3 straight years now. So I'm really happy to see this one almost finished. Daryl's been incredibly helpful, and anytime I run into a big stone to push, he jumps right in. Is always super enthusiastic about doing it. He doesn't shrug around or stomp.
And I get it completely wrong, but then we fix it, and it's right.
Daryl is doing an economy pass right now, so everything in the book has prices on it, and how those interact with things like the outpost system. Using your spaceship as an outpost, for example, those have rules. Some of the edges let you buy things, big things that you may not be able to save up for otherwise. So, getting those numbers right is important, and that's what he's doing right now. So they all look good relative to each other.
So, final thought for me is Donald Cheppis has been busy in the background making sure the page is all great thing, and he just added the sign up link for the Pledge Manager. It's live on the page now. So if you want to get a head start on getting notified when we open that up, which won't be too long, but we have to make sure everything's settled first. So the sign up link for Pledge Manager is on the page. And for folks who missed the campaign, that's also the same link that you can go and be notified when the pre-order phase is open for you to get a hold of. So if you're watching this video after March 21st, 2024, and want to get some science fiction goodness, but before we're available at retail, that's also a link on the page, the Kickstarter link. I will put that link up one more time in the chat, just because I'll put it on screen so you guys can write it down. And you can Google it, of course, but that's the link, direct link to the campaign. And then right up there at the top right corner, it says sign up for Pledge Manager. So you guys, that's a little thing you can do while you're waiting for the PDF to show up in your inboxes. But man, other than that, it's been a great campaign. Thanks. We're very excited for all the things that are coming from us to you in this next year. A lot of great projects, a lot of great folks working on them. So sign up for our newsletter to get Monday or Tuesdays, every Tuesday. Our great newsletter comes out. It's our number one way of reaching you folks and staying. If you want to stay on track on all the things that you back, we do a little section at the bottom now. That's kind of the summary of where the projects are in the production and shipping pipeline. Go to peginc.com. There's a big bar right at the top to sign up to the newsletter. That's the best way to hear from us. And other than that, we'll be back again next week for Savage Universe. We're going to go over all of our amazing swag contributors who did the Fast, Furious, Fun February 2024 submissions. And JM will be joining me for that. And then other than that, we'll be quiet here. There'll be a thank you post coming up on the next day or two on the Kickstarter page. We'll have some links to follow for the next 3 big campaigns, which will be Deadlands, Rifts, and Savage Pathfinder. And other than that, we'll be a little quiet while we just kind of finish off the dot the I's, cross the T's on the manuscript, and we'll get that to you soon. So trademark soon. But other than that, we appreciate you, all of you, like 100 of you joined during the stream. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for spreading the word. It's hard for a little company like ours to get the word out, and you guys do a better job than any of us could ever do. So thanks all 3,220 of you. It's been a blast, and we'll see you soon with our next exciting campaign. But other than that, get out there this weekend, play some Savage Worlds, come join us at the conventions. Pick up that Savage Saturday Cinema by Shane because it's pretty awesome. And with that, we'll see you next week for Savage Universe, folks. Catch you later.
Thank you.
Bye.